There's something different about people who put coins in jukeboxes as children. In a world where music is instantly available and endlessly free, these individuals experienced the most deliberate and socially significant form of music selection in human history, and it shaped their psychology in ways that created the most music-conscious and socially aware generation ever to exist. Let's start with something that's impossible to recreate today. Picture yourself at 13 years old on a Saturday afternoon in 1957. You walk into Mel's diner with your friends, and the first thing that draws your attention isn't the food or the people. It's the glowing, colorful jukebox standing against the far wall like a musical shrine. You reach into your pocket, feel the weight of 3 nickels your father gave you for spending money, and you realize you have the power to choose what everyone in this restaurant will hear for the next 9 minutes. But this wasn't just about playing music. This was your introduction to music as social currency, entertainment as personal investment, and the psychology of choosing songs that would represent your tastes, your mood, and your identity to everyone within earshot. You were learning that music selection was a public statement, a social responsibility, and a form of self-expression, all combined into one nickel-powered decision. Think about what happened to your developing brain during those jukebox encounters. Every coin you inserted was a lesson in value, choice, and consequence. Unlike modern music streaming where wrong choices cost nothing and can be instantly corrected, every jukebox selection represented real money spent and a commitment to living with your decision for the entire length of the song. This created what music psychologists call investment-based music appreciation. When choosing a song costs you actual money, you don't just pick something random or familiar. You consider which songs will provide the most satisfaction for your investment, which artists represent your best musical judgment, and which selections will enhance the social atmosphere rather than disrupting it. Your approach to the jukebox became a ritual that taught lessons about patience, research, and social awareness. You'd study the available selections, reading through dozens of titles and artists, considering which songs matched your mood, which ones your friends might enjoy, and which ones would sound good in this particular social setting, at this particular time of day. This developed what sociologists call contextual music selection psychology. You learned that the same song that sounded perfect at home might sound wrong in a restaurant, that music selection should consider the audience as well as your personal preferences, and that being a good music selector meant understanding how different songs affected different social situations. Now imagine standing in front of that jukebox with your 3 nickels, feeling the weight of decision-making that modern music listeners never experience. The machine holds maybe 200 songs, representing the most popular and culturally significant music of your era. Your selection won't just entertain you personally, it will create the soundtrack for everyone else's conversation, dining, and social interaction. But here's what made the jukebox experience psychologically profound. Beyond just music selection, you were participating in the creation of shared cultural moments in ways that connected you to both your immediate social group and the broader community of people who used the same jukebox. Popular selections got played repeatedly, creating local soundtracks that defined particular places and particular times for entire communities. The jukebox taught you about collective taste, formation, and social music influence in ways that shaped your understanding of how culture gets created and shared. When you selected a song that other people enjoyed, you influenced their future selections. When someone else's choice introduced you to music you hadn't heard before, your own musical horizons expanded. This created what cultural anthropologists call participatory culture formation. Psychology. You weren't just consuming music that had been chosen for you by radio stations or record companies. You were actively participating in the creation of local musical culture by selecting songs that would influence what other people heard and potentially what they would select for themselves. The social dynamics around jukebox selection became lessons in negotiation, compromise, and group decision. When you were with friends, choosing music became a group activity, requiring discussion about whose turn it was to pay, which songs everyone could tolerate, and how to balance individual preferences with collective satisfaction. You learned that good music selection required social intelligence as well as musical taste, that considering other people's preferences didn't mean abandoning your own, but finding selections that could satisfy multiple people simultaneously. That being generous with music choices created social goodwill that enhanced everyone's enjoyment of shared time together. This developed what social psychologists call musical social intelligence. You learned to read social situations through music preferences. to use song selection as a form of communication and relationship building, and to understand that music could serve social bonding functions as well as personal entertainment functions. But perhaps most importantly, the jukebox experience taught you about the economics and psychology of music ownership and sharing. Every song you played belonged to you for its duration, but it also belonged to everyone who could hear it. You were purchasing temporary ownership of public entertainment, creating shared experiences through personal investment. The jukebox also introduced you to music discovery in ways that required active effort and financial commitment. Unlike radio, where you passively received whatever songs the station chose to play, the jukebox required you to explore available options, take risks on unfamiliar artists, and invest your money in musical experimentation. This created what music industry researchers call active music discovery psychology. You learned that the best music experiences often come from taking chances on songs you haven't heard before. That musical growth requires willingness to invest in experimentation, and that discovering great music felt more satisfying when it required personal effort and financial commitment. The physical interaction with jukebox technology also created unique psychological associations with music selection and mechanical satisfaction. You'd insert your coins, hear them drop into the machine's mechanism, watch the mechanical arm select your record, and see it placed on the turntable. Music selection wasn't just pushing a button. It was operating a complex machine that transformed your money into mechanical action that produced sound. You learned that music had physical reality beyond just sounds in the air, that songs existed as objects that could be selected, handled, and played through mechanical processes, that the technology of music reproduction was visible, understandable, and directly connected to your choices and your money. This developed what technology psychologists call mechanical music relationship psychology. You understood how your musical choices connected to physical processes, how entertainment technology required maintenance and care, and how the machines that provided music deserved respect and proper operation. The jukebox experience also taught you about timing, anticipation, and the social rhythm of music-enhanced activities. After making your selections, you'd return to your table or continue your conversation while waiting for your songs to play in sequence. This created periods of anticipation and delayed gratification that enhanced the satisfaction when your chosen music finally began. You learned that anticipation could increase enjoyment, that good things were worth waiting for, and that music could provide structure and timing for social activities. That the rhythm of jukebox operation created natural breaks in conversation and natural transitions in social energy. Years passed, jukeboxes disappeared from most restaurants and gathering places, replaced by background music systems controlled by management or streaming services that removed customer choice from public music selection. But something from those jukebox experiences stayed with you forever, an understanding that music selection carries social responsibility, that good musical choices require consideration of context and audience, and that the best music experiences often come from personal investment in both financial and attention terms. Decades later, when music becomes background noise that people barely notice, when streaming algorithms choose songs based on data rather than social context, you carry knowledge about what music selection meant when it required intention, investment, and social awareness. Now imagine trying to explain to your grandchildren what it was like when playing music in public required coins, consideration, and commitment. How jukebox selection wasn't just personal entertainment, it was social contribution. How choosing music for others to hear taught you responsibility for collective cultural experience. This isn't nostalgia for more expensive music access. This is recognition of a fundamentally different relationship with music selection, social entertainment, and the economics of cultural participation. You learned that the best music experiences happen when people invest thoughtfully in choices that serve both personal satisfaction and community benefit. When modern music culture becomes fragmented by individualized playlists and algorithm-driven recommendations, you understand what's lost when music selection stops being a social activity. You know that choosing music for others to enjoy creates community connections that purely personal music consumption cannot provide. Your jukebox childhood taught you that music serves social bonding, that entertainment selection carries responsibility for collective enjoyment, and that the best cultural experiences happen when people invest thoughtfully in choices that enhance shared time and space. Those Saturday afternoons feeding nickels into glowing jukeboxes weren't just entertainment expenses. They were investments in social music culture, lessons in collective entertainment responsibility, and training in musical social intelligence that shaped how you understand the relationship between personal choice and community benefit. Drop a comment and share your jukebox memory. What was your favorite song to play? Do you remember which restaurants or hangouts had the best jukeboxes? How did you and your friends decide what music to choose? And if this resonated with you, hit like and subscribe, because we dive deep into the psychology that explains how your unique music selection experiences shaped the remarkable social awareness and cultural consciousness you carry today. See you next time.